The prairie was quiet that morning, too quiet for a place meant to hum with life. Steam hissed from the iron train resting at the Black Prairie Depot, a low whistle echoing across the open fields. Dust hung in the sunlight like thin smoke, settling over boots, hats, and gossip. Etta Gray stepped off the platform edge, clutching a small case to her chest. Her hands trembled, not from cold but from the eyes on her, too many of them. Women in church shawls, men with nothing better to do, every one of them whispering about her, the pastor's daughter who drove her fiancé clean mad. She kept her chin high. She'd told herself she wouldn't cry, not here, not where he had left her reputation in ruins, but when the foreman from the railroad crew tipped his hat and smiled that knowing smile, her stomach knotted tight. "Morning, Miss Grace," he drawled. "You looking for work? I might have something for a lady who ain't too proud." His words cut slowly, deliberately. Etta stepped back. "I'm not looking for you," she said, voice shaking but clear. He laughed. "No? Shame. Seems the town's done decided you already belong to me." Her throat burned, but she said nothing. Words had never saved her before. Only distance might. But distance needed a horse, and horses cost money she didn't have. That was when she saw him. Cole Hart, trail boss, widowed, worn, and built like the land he rode through, strong, scarred, and silent. He was checking reins on a tall bay mare, eyes focused, hands calm. There was something different in the way he moved, no show, no swagger, just steadiness. Etta's pulse eased without her permission. She'd heard his name before. Folks said Cole Hart had once ridden through a wildfire to save his men. Said he hadn't spoken of his wife since the day she was buried. Now he was hauling a string of mares for a buyer down south, needing to leave before sundown. Etta saw a chance, one she didn't deserve but needed. She approached him, boots soft in the dirt. "Sir," she began, voice barely above the whistle of wind. He turned. His eyes, gray, unreadable, met hers. "You lost, miss?" "No, just out of place," she swallowed. "I can read, write, and keep accounts. I need work and I don't scare easily." He studied her. "You got people waiting?" "No," she said. That was true enough. He looked toward the depot where the foreman leaned, smirking. "That man bothering you?" Etta hesitated, then nodded once. Cole adjusted his hat. "All right. I could use a bookkeeper for this run. You pull your weight, you ride with us. It was too simple, too sudden." "You'd take me on your crew?" she asked. "I'd take a hard worker," he said. "But you'll need a chaperone of sorts. My men talk rough. You okay with that?" Etta straightened her shoulders. "I'm fine." He gave a short nod. "We leave in an hour." As he turned away, she heard a low voice behind her. The foreman again. "You think that cowboy'll keep you clean, preacher's girl? Wait till he learns the rest." Etta's chest burned with shame and fury. But when Cole looked back once, his gaze steady and quiet as a campfire in the dark, something steadied inside her too. For the first time since her world had fallen apart, she felt the faintest pull of safety. Not the kind that hides you, but the kind that helps you stand. And when she climbed onto the wagon beside Cole Hart, the town's whispers faded behind her like the hiss of a cooling train. The road stretched wide. The air smelled of horses and sun-warmed grass. Ahead lay miles of dust, danger, and maybe, if Grace was real, something she had never known. Gentleness that didn't wound. The crew rolled out of Black Prairie an hour later. 2 riders took the lead. The wagon stayed in the middle with Etta and the Ledgers, and Cole rode the flank. The sun burned off the morning chill. The mares tossed their heads and breathed like bellows. Etta wiped dust from the ledger cover. Her job was simple in words: count feed, count miles, count payments, keep order. Keeping order meant learning the patterns of men and horses before either of them learned her. She listened more than she spoke. She wrote neat columns while her pulse tried to run. Cole rode close enough that his shadow crossed her hands. "You take notes of anything odd," he said. "A loose shoe, a torn sack, a name that feels wrong. Small things become big on the trail." "I understand," she said. He pointed at the herd. "That gray mare, see her ears? She's worried, but she hides it. The quiet ones spook quickest. Don't stare her down. Breathe, then look away. Let her decide you're safe." Etta tried it. She filled her lungs, let them empty, softened her eyes. The gray's ears twitched forward, then settled. Something inside Etta eased too, a tiny knot untying. By noon, they reached open grass where the wind wrote slow letters across the land. The front riders, Amos and Jeb, circled back with a canteen and a joke. Amos asked if Etta could read maps. She showed him the buyer's route marked in blue pencil, towns circled like coins. Good, Cole said. We'll make camp by Cottonwood Wash tonight. The hours stretched long and steady. Etta learned the rhythm. Step, clink, snort, the creak of leather, the hiss of the wheel. The depot voices thinned out, then vanished. She felt the relief of being no one's tail. Near sunset, the land sloped into a shallow draw. Cottonwood shivered leaves over a ribbon of water. The crew made a neat camp. Amos set a coffee pot on coals. Jeb checked the picket lines, and Cole unrolled a canvas for tack repairs. Etta counted grain by handfuls and wrote the number beside a tidy box. Day 1. When the wind cooled, Cole called her to the edge of the herd. You said you don't scare easily, he said. You'll still feel fear. You just don't hand it the reins. He showed her a halter knot, slow and clear. Pressure and release, he said. Ask softly. If the horse yields, you melt the rope. If she braces, you wait before you ask again. Never punish honesty. Etta traced the knot with her finger, careful to learn the path. Her mother had taught her hymns this way, touch, hum, repeat, until the song lived inside her. What made you offer me this job? She asked at last. You looked like someone who wanted to start counting forward. She held that answer like a warm cup. And the rules? Simple, he said. Truth in the books. Respect on the trail. No one claims you. Not my men, not me. We travel clean. Clean. The word caught in her throat. Cricket started up. A coyote yipped far off. Etta lay on her bedroll and watched the stars arrive. She listened for the foreman in every rustle, then let fear pass. Beyond the wagon, Cole's silhouette sat quiet, a stillness like guard duty. Sleep came ragged, but it came. When dawn brushed the cottonwood silver, she woke with dust in her hair, ledger under her arm, and the shape of a new life beginning to fit her shoulders like a well-tied knot. They broke camp at first light. The herd moved out smoothly, noses low, tails flicking at flies. Etta rode the wagon seat with the ledger open on her lap, a pencil behind her ear. The sun was mild, the road narrow across blonde grass. Cole rode alongside for a time, saying little. His presence steadied her breath the way a hand on a skittish colt's neck steadies its mind. She watched the gray mare from yesterday, saw new softness in the ears. Pressure and release, she thought. Breathe beforehand. By mid-morning, a relay station came into view, one porch, a bell, a rail for tying off. 2 riders already sat there, hats slouched. Etta felt a prickle along her scalp. The foreman had shadows, and shadows traveled faster than good news. Cole swung down and spoke with the keeper about water and oats. Etta dismounted more slowly, keeping her eyes plain. One of the porch riders tilted his chin at her. Preacher's girl, ain't you? The boss says you and him got paper between you. Her stomach turned. Your boss lies, she said evenly. The rider grinned. He's got a note that says otherwise. He'll show it at the next town. Cole stepped between them, not loud, just there. We're watering and moving on, he said. Any man who troubles my crew troubles me. The moment stretched. The rider's boot hit the porch rail once, a hollow knock. Then he looked away. Etta let out the breath she had been saving. Back at the wagon, she spoke low so the words would not shake. Mr. Hart, I need a cover. Not to pretend for sport, but for safety. She met his eyes. If we say we are courting, clean by rules, these men will think twice before waving their paper. Cole's jaw worked once. Rules, he said. Name them. No touching without asking, she said. No claims past the story we tell. Honest books. Honest talk. If either of us wants out, we say so plainly. He nodded. Add this, I don't raise my voice. You don't hide trouble. A pause. And we keep faith with each other's dignity. Agreed. He adjusted his hat, and when he turned toward the porch, he did it with a quiet change in posture, shoulders squared, stance near hers. Not grasping. Not showy, just near. The keeper watched and used Miss Etta and Mr. Hart like stones across a stream. They watered the mares. The gray balked at the first sip, nostrils flaring at the reflection. Cole showed Etta how to tip the bucket so the surface broke. Let the fear have a way out, he said. Then ask again. The mare drank. On the road in the afternoon, the heat turned the air to glass. A grasshopper landed on Etta's sleeve. She laughed without meaning to. Amos rode back with a harmonica tune that wasn't a hymn. The world felt wider than the story that had caged her. They camped in a low basin where sage made the dusk smell clean. Etta laid out the figures: oats, nails, a harness buckle, and 2 spare shoes. Cole looked over her shoulder, close enough to warm the air, far enough to keep his promise. "Numbers line," he said. "Good work, night rose." Coyotes traced thin shapes on a ridge. Etta practiced halter knots until the rope moved like thought. When she lay down, she tested the new story against her bones. Not a lie to hide in, but a shelter to walk through. She slept with the ledger under her arm, and the idea of being chosen someday for real drifted near and did not sting. Morning broke like a slow match. Light crawled over the basin, touching canvas, rope, and the glossy backs of the mares. Etta woke to the clink of a coffee spoon. The smell of sage and horses returned, and with it a little peace. They ate quick, hardtack and coffee. Cole gave orders in a few words. Amos and Jeb would scout the pass. Etta would ride the wagon, then walk beside the herd when the trail pinched. "Eyes open," Cole said. "Today we teach the mares to trust the bridge." The bridge was 2 logs across a creek, water flashing over stones. The sound of it turned brave horses doubtful. Etta stood with Cole while the first mare snorted at the crossing. "Pressure and release," he reminded. "Ask, wait, soften." Etta lifted the rope, felt the mare lean back, then eased the rope again. She breathed slowly. "You can," she whispered, "not to force, but to bless." The mare tasted the air and stepped. One hoof, then another. Cold splash on Etta's boots. Warmth spread in her chest. A cheer rose, real. The second mare followed. The third balked and tried to spin. Cole stepped in, body loose, face calm. "Let her look," he said. "Don't yank the fear. Open a door for it." They tried again. A cloud covered the sun. The water lost its glare. The mare blew out a long breath and crossed. Etta felt the breath leave her too. On the far bank, Cole gave a nod. "You're listening," he said. "To the horse?" She asked. "To yourself." They moved on. The land rose into broken hills. Etta wrote figures as the wagon creaked. Bridge delay, oats used, a note to mend a frayed trace. Small, honest lines. Near noon, the pass narrowed to a rock gate. Wind tunneled through, carrying scents the mares did not like. Fox, old thunder, iron. Amos waved from above. "Tracks," he called. 3 riders cut across, headed east. Could be nothing. It could be the foreman's men. Cole shifted the order. Jeb behind, Amos ahead, Cole at Etta's shoulder. His nearness worked like an extra rein on her heartbeat. When the trail widened, they let the herd breathe. Etta's feet ached from the rock. Cole handed her a canteen. Their fingers did not meet, but heat moved through the metal like a message. Afternoon wind carried dust from the south. Not a storm, just a warning. Etta tied a kerchief and kept writing. She was not running anymore. She was counting forward. Camp sat near Pignon. Etta cooked beans. Amos hummed. Jeb told a tale about a cow that opened gates. Laughter came easier than it had in a year. Later, Cole brought a skittish filly and handed Etta the line. "Teach her the touch," he said. Breath beforehand. Etta stood quietly, palm open, eyes soft. The filly's nostrils trembled. Etta waited. When the horse stretched her neck and found Etta's sleeve, Etta did not reach. She let the moment pass. Then gently she stroked once. The filly sighed, a small surrender. Cole watched in silence. In that stillness, Etta felt seen without being taken. The kind of touch she had prayed existed. The kind that asked nothing it did not also give. Far off, a coyote called. Boots thumped near the fire, then stopped. Etta wrote the final lines. Bridges crossed. Mares steady. Hearts. Learning. She looked up at the stars coming one by one, slow as trust. She did not know what waited in the next town. She only knew this: she was not only surviving the road, she was becoming someone who could ride it. Dawn came pale and windless. The herd grazed in hush, tails making soft ticks against the morning. Etta rose stiff from sleep, warmed her hands around a tin cup, and checked the ledger lines she had written by firelight. The numbers were even. Her breath for once was even too. They rolled out toward a river bend marked on the buyer's route. The land flattened, gold and open, with cranes standing like thin elders near the water. Cole rode ahead and lifted a hand for caution. The river ran wide, not fierce, but deep enough to swallow a mistake. They walked the bank first. Etta noted the slick stones, the way the current pulled in slow curves. Cole spoke low. "We keep them moving, not rushing. Give their eyes a place to go." He stepped into the shallows, boots darkening. The first mare followed, ears high, then stopped when the water lapped at her belly. Etta stood on the near bank with the rope loose in her hand. "Breathe," she whispered, more to herself than to the horse. She felt the river's cool speak through the air. She softened her shoulders. The mare flicked an ear and moved again. A shout broke across the water. Amos, on the far side, pointed up the rise. 3 riders had appeared against the sky, still as fence posts. Etta's mouth dried. The foreman's men, or 3 strangers who liked to look like them. Cole did not glance back. "Keep your place," he called. "Eyes on your horse." Etta swallowed and kept her body quiet. The mare cleared the deep, then stepped up onto the sand. Water streaming from her barrel like glass. Relief hit Etta so hard she laughed, a small startled sound. One by one the mares crossed. The riders on the ridge did nothing, only watched until the last tail left the river. Then they turned and vanished. The watching felt worse than chasing. They made camp early to dry tack. Etta hung blankets on a line and felt the sun and wind pull damp from the cloth. Cole handed her a tin plate and spoke about the night watch. "You'll take second. The dark is honest. It tells you what you brought into it." She tried a half smile. "And what did you bring?" "A habit of listening," he said. Midnight settled like velvet. Etta walked the circle with a lantern hooded to a thread of light. The mares dozed, heads low. Far off, an owl stitched the dark with 2 notes. Etta counted heartbeats, hers first, then the herd's in a kind of prayer. She thought of the word clean, and how it didn't mean untouched so much as tended. Near the end of her watch, a shape moved at the fence, just a jackrabbit slipping through. Etta's laugh came out as fog. She eased the lantern higher. Cole stood a little way off, coat thrown over his shoulders. "You're steady," he said. "I'm learning how to be." He nodded and walked the rest of the circle with her, each step quiet as a promise. Morning brought hoofprints along the far edge of camp. "Not theirs, fresh." Cole crouched, brows low. "They were near," he said. "Took nothing. Meant us to know it." Fear rose and tried for Etta's throat. She let it pass through and out. She wrote a line in the ledger. "Visitors uninvited, unseen." Then another. "We continue." By afternoon, Amos taught her a whistle that turned them like water. Jeb asked her view on a shoeing nail and listened. The gray mare touched her sleeve, leaving a wet print. The sky turned bright and hard by noon. A blue plate hung over miles of grass. Heat rose in wavering lines. The herd pushed on, patient, heads bobbing like boats. Etta kept the ledger on her lap and a damp cloth around her neck. Sweat made the pencil slip. Still, her lines stayed straight. They stopped near a windmill that groaned with each turn. A small ranch house sat empty, door chained, window cracked. Cole sent Amos to circle wide and Jeb to check the trough. Etta counted sacks and marked a list for the next town. Salt, a curry brush, and lantern oil. She added needle and thread, and felt pride at thinking ahead. The gray mare bumped her shoulder, then nuzzled the cloth on Etta's neck as if she wished that coolness for herself. Etta dipped a rag in the trough, wrung it, then laid it across the mare's withers. The mare stood still. "There," Etta whispered. "You're seen." Cole watched from the shade. "Good eye," he said. "Care finds calm." They moved again in the long afternoon. Dust gritted in teeth and lashes. A hawk made slow circles above them. Etta tried to read the land too, the places where wind wrote trouble before trouble came. Toward evening, the trail widened into 2 ruts. In the distance, low roofs showed by a river bend. "Way station town," Jeb said. "There'll be coffee and maybe a fiddle." Etta felt a small rise of fear and hope. Town meant eyes and mouths. It also meant a bath, a paper smell in the mercantile, and a chance to be a person in plain sight without the foreman to name her. They reached the town at dusk. There were 12 structures if you counted the water tower. A woman swept a porch. A child dragged a stick along a fence. The sign on the eatery read, "Hot plate, honest price." Etta liked the second promise best. Cole stabled the mares in a rented pen behind the livery. Etta checked locks twice, then wrote the number in the ledger and underlined it. She and the men ate quietly at a corner table. Conversation rose and fell like the wind. No one stared long. No one used her name as a weapon. It felt like a small miracle, safe. After supper, music ghosted from a hall. Fiddle, guitar, the thump of boots. Amos grinned. "There's a dance most nights when herds come through," he said. Etta stood in the street with her hands inside her sleeves. She listened. The tune felt like a window opened in a hot room. Cole stopped beside her. "You look like you miss something you haven't had," he said. "I miss being ordinary," she answered. "I miss being welcome to walk into a song." He nodded. "Tomorrow we'll trade for supplies," he said. "If you want a ribbon or a pair of gloves, buy them. Use crew funds for what the work needs, your pay for what your spirit needs, and thank you. Turn in. We ride early." Back at the pen, Etta checked the gate chain one more time. The gray mare put warm breath in her palm. A tiny push, like a nudge toward something unnamed. Under a thin moon, Etta folded her bedroll near the wagon and wrote the days close. She added one line she had never written before. Desire, a clean one, to step into light without flinching. Then she blew out the lantern and let the fiddle drift her toward sleep, as if the music were already learning her name and promising it could be spoken without harm. Morning brought bread smell and coal smoke. The town woke early. Wagons knocked, doors opened, and a fiddle tested a tune like a throat clearing. Etta washed at the pump, braided her hair, and checked the ledger. Supplies first, she told herself. Then maybe a dance they traded for salt, nails, and lantern oil. Cole inspected each purchase with a patient eye. "We ride at dawn," he said. "But tonight the men can blow off dust." He looked to Etta. "You want an hour with music?" "I do," she said. She bought a narrow ribbon with her own coins, rivergrass green, and slipped it through her braid. At sunset, the hall glowed like a lantern. People crowded inside. Ranch hands, mothers with babies, girls with shy smiles, old men who kept time with boots. The fiddle rose, bright as creek water. Etta stood at the edge and felt her chest go tight. Then she saw Cole across the room, hat in hand, not smiling, not somber, only steady. He walked to her. "May I ask for your first dance?" Heads tilted. Etta's cheeks warmed, but she lifted her chin. "Yes." He led with care, a hand at a respectful distance. 2 steps, a turn, a glide. Within that small circle, Etta tasted ordinary peace. Laughter did not aim at her. The floor held. Halfway through the song, the door banged. Cold air pushed in. The railroad foreman stood on the threshold with 2 riders, hat low, grin high. Conversation thinned. He waved a folded paper like a flag. "Evening, folks," he called. "I've got business with that girl." Etta's heartbeat stumbled, then found a new rhythm. Cole did not drop her hand. He set it at her side and turned to face the man. "State your business," the foreman stepped forward, boots loud. "This here's a contract. Her mark says she owes the board and favors. Transfer of guardianship too." She ran. "I'm here to collect what's mine." A murmur rose. The fiddle stopped. Etta felt the old terror come hunting. She let it pass through. She stepped to Cole's shoulder, not behind it. "That paper is false," she said, voice clear. "I signed nothing. I owe you nothing." The foreman laughed. "You think a town of strangers will take your word over mine?" Cole spoke low. "Show the ink." The man snapped open the page. Etta saw crooked letters and a smear where a name should be. More than that, she saw faces watching, weighing truth by how she stood. She breathed. "I was shamed by a lie once," she said to the room. "I will not live under a second lie." She put her ribboned braid over her shoulder like armor. "This man does not claim me. I claim my own name. If there is debt, I have clean books. If there is a witness, I have men who rode beside me." Amos raised a hand. "She kept the ledger straight," he said. Jeb nodded. The hall listened. Cole's voice stayed even. "We leave at first light. Any lawful complaint can meet us at the buyer's pens." He looked at Etta then, not as a shield, but as a partner. "Until then, we dance." The fiddler, bless him, found the tune again. Etta lifted her hand and Cole took it, not to cover her, but to honor her choice. They stepped back into the circle. The town watched, then breathed, then smiled. The rumor that chased her cracked like thin ice under the sun. When the song ended, Etta felt taller inside her boots. The foreman folded his paper and backed into the dark. The door closed. Dawn felt thin after the dance, like paper you could tear with 2 fingers. The crew moved quietly, loading gear and checking knots. Etta tied her ribbon tighter and went over the numbers twice. They rolled out before the town woke. The prairie took them back, wide and watchful. Cole rode near the herd, eyes narrowing at every flick of an ear. Amos hummed a tune from the night before, softer now. Before noon, a bad sign showed itself. A cinch strap on Jeb's saddle hung like a tongue, clean cut. Jeb swung down and steadied the leather. "Didn't wear through," he said. Somebody knifed it. Etta's skin prickled. She wrote a sharp line in the ledger. Sabotage, cinch cut. They checked every strap. 2 more showed the same clean edge, and 1 feed sack had a slit so grain leaked like sand. Cole said little. He handed Etta a task. Walk the herd and read their faces. Tell me which ones look hunted. She did, moving slowly, breathing before she laid a hand on a neck. The gray mare flicked one ear toward the east, uneasy. By afternoon, the wind shifted. Tust pressed them from behind. Not a storm yet, only a hand on their backs. They reached a fenced pasture used by travelers and turned the herd in to graze. Etta walked the perimeter and tested the gate chain with both hands. It held late light turned red. Coffee boiled. The men laughed at a half-true story. Etta fixed halter knots for morning and placed the map roll beside the ledger under the wagon seat. When she rose, a woman in a dark dress stood at the fence, her hat shadowing her eyes. Cole Hart, the woman called. You going to make me stand out here all night? Cole turned, startled. Lena? Etta looked between them. The woman's face held a family shape to Cole's. My sister by law, Cole said, voice low. My wife's people. Lena climbed the fence without asking. She looked Etta over once, not cruel, just measuring. You're the girl folks are speaking of, she said. I came because decent people still exist. Cole, you will not bring her back to town with your name tied to hers. Send her home. Heat rose, but Etta steadied it. I'm not claimed, she said. I work for my pay. I ride clean. Lena's eyes softened, then hardened. Clean or not, the world rubs dirt on a woman. Cole, be the man my sister believed you were. The words landed heavily. Cole's jaw set. Lena, this crew runs by rules and respect. She stays until we deliver. Lena shook her head. You always choose the hard road. She turned away. Night settled on that argument. Etta lay awake. The phrase my sister believed kept turning in her mind. Near midnight, she sat up, seeking the comfort of tasks. She reached for the map roll. Her hand found only canvas, maps gone. She checked every place she might have put them. Nothing. She woke Cole with one word. He rose like he had not slept. They searched by lantern. At the fence, the gate hung open on an easy chain. Hooves pounded in the near dark, then fanned into the distance like broken water. The mares, Etta whispered. Cole was already moving, voice level and quick. Amos, Jeb, saddle up. Etta, take the wagon lamp and mark hoof lines at the wash. Nobody runs blind. In the tremble of firelight, she lifted the lamp and traced the earth step by step, as if the ground were a ledger to be righted. They followed hoof marks down the wash where moonlight broke in pieces. Sand told the night story. Prints bunched, then flung wide. Cole crouched to read. Amos ranged left, Jeb right. Etta kept the lantern low and stepped carefully, not erasing what they needed. The trail split around greasewood. One line veered to flats, another slipped into narrow cuts. The air tasted like iron. Wind scratched brush, rose, then held as if the land took a long breath. Storm building, Cole said. Dust wall if we're unlucky. Etta saw a faint smear on the horizon. Do we still go? We have to, he said. If they bunch and run blind, we lose them to arroyos. They moved faster. Etta kept time with Cole and fought the pull of Lena's words. Part of her feared being left when danger rose. Another part trusted his steadiness. They topped a saddle where the wind hit them full. The smear thickened, a moving line. Amos looped back. Fresh sign, he said. Uneven tracks broke off. The foals, Etta said. Cole pointed into the cut. We take them first. Amos is with me. Jeb sweeps the flats. Etta, hold the lamp and mark our turn. She nodded. The men moved into the dark. Wind lifted her braid and threw grit at her teeth. The lantern fluttered. Etta cupped it, listening. At first there was only wind. Then a whinny. Cole, she called. Hold there. Came muffled. Another cry deeper in the cut, then hooves scrambling on loose stone. In her mind, a foal wedged, another circling, lost. The sound tugged at the place that remembered being small under someone else's claim. Dust curled over the rim and fell in sheets. The lantern guttered low, Cole's voice nearer. We pull back and circle with ropes. It's coming fast, the order struck cold. Pull back, circle later. If they waited, the foals would choke. If they rushed together, they'd blind each other. She stared at the narrow run, then at the wall. She remembered, breathed beforehand. Open a door. She took one breath and stepped into the cut. Dust met her like a cloth thrown over her head. She could not see her hand. She counted steps along the rock. left palm skimming, right hand gripping the lantern frame like a rail. "Easy," she called. "Easy, little one." A shape shuddered against her hip, a damp shoulder small and shaking. She dropped the lantern, freed both hands, and felt for a halter. None. Breath hit her collarbone in hot bursts. "I'm here. You can." She found a lead in her pocket and threaded a loop by feel, the memory of the knot guiding her fingers. The foal's head banged her chest. She absorbed it and waited, pressure and release. When the head lowered, she melted the rope. That's right. Another shape bumped her knee. The second foal, trembling, trying to climb the rock. She worked a second loop from a strap at her waist. The storm roared now, a voice of earth. Grit filled mouth and eyes. She bowed her head and spoke against a soft cheek. "We go together. Slow as fast. One step." The first foal gave a breath she felt more than heard. Etta eased forward. Hooves slid, caught, slid again. She moved as if on ice, body between them and a drop she could not see. Behind her, a shout, Cole's maybe, tore thin and blew away. Etta kept walking the line only she could feel, holding a door in her fear for two small lives to pass. The lantern died. Dark became the whole world. She did not stop then. The dark felt like a closed fist around her. Dust scraped her throat. Etta kept one hand on the wall and the other on the rope, guiding the foals inch by inch. She could not see, so she counted. 1 step, breathe, listen. 1 step, breathe, listen. The storm shoved, then paused. A gust tore past and thinned for a heartbeat. In that blink, she saw a paler shade ahead, the opening. "There," she said, and the word steadied them. She moved again. The first foal leaned into the line. The second followed her coat like a promise. They stumbled into the open air. Shapes rushed toward her. Cole's arm found her shoulders, careful. Amos took the ropes and soothed the foals with a hum. Etta folded, coughing grit, then straightened. "They're safe," she rasped. "You're safe," Cole said. "You didn't wait." "I opened a door," she answered. They huddled behind a rock until the worst passed. When morning burned the dust thin, the herd stood bunched but whole. Hoof marks told the rest. A gate opened, a chase begun. Then the storm became a wall that kept thieves from finishing the job. By noon, they gathered the scattered and drove them on. They reached the buyers' pens 2 days later, sun high, rails bright. Townfolk leaned on fences. The foreman stood by the scale house with 2 riders and the same folded paper. He lifted it high. "Time to settle accounts, preacher's girl." Etta stepped forward, clothes still dusty. She laid the ledger on the rail and opened it to neat columns. "These are the accounts," she said. "Feed weighed, miles marked, fees paid, witnessed by men who rode every mile." Amos and Jeb spoke their names. The buyer's clerk checked figures. Cole stood at Etta's side, not in front, not behind. The foreman slapped his paper. "Guardianship transfers. Board debt. Her mark." Etta faced him square. "Show the signature." He did. Ink bled, names misspelled, dates crossed. The clerk sniffed. "This is poor forgery." Murmurs ran along the fence. The foreman's grin thinned. He reached for Etta's arm. Cole caught his wrist. "No," he said. "No one puts a hand on her without her say." Etta lifted her chin. "I'm not your claim," she said. "I am my own. I choose who stands with me." She turned to Cole, "And I choose him." Silence, then a rustle like grass. The buyer cleared his throat. "The accounts are clean. The mares are sound. We'll finish our trade." He looked at the foreman. "Take your false paper away." The foreman's mouth worked. He measured the faces, men who liked fairness more than noise, women who had heard enough of men claiming what was not theirs. He backed off and the riders followed. Heat eased. A train whistled. Cole's hand hovered near Etta's, asking without words. She let her fingers find his for a brief hold. Not a cover. A vow begun. Weeks later, a sign hung by a corral gate. "Ladies' Riding School, Gentle Hands." Etta stood with a circle of girls and showed them breath beforehand. Pressure and release, the quiet that lets trust grow. Cole's new outfit kept to the far pasture, close enough to wave, near enough to help. At day's end, Etta took off her glove and offered her bare hand to Cole. "Not pretend," she said. He took it. "Chosen," he answered. They stood with dust in their boots and peace in their chests, the prairie open, the future honest in its light. Touch real and gentle lived between them like water in dry country, drawn, shared, kept. Love this Western romance? Tap like to keep more stories coming. Subscribe for the next frontier tale and comment your favorite moment. The dance, the dust storm, or the final stand. Share with a friend who loves clean, slow-burning love. Bell on so you never miss an episode.